First of all, Jimmy, I had to talk about what happened to me when I went to visit you in Stoke Mandeville.
Yes, we captured you.
Oh, you did.
We
You absolutely captured me.
Because we diagnosed immediately that you may just have some discomfort at the top of your spine. You confessed.
I went in holding my head.
You did indeed, and we diagnosed it instantly.
That's right.
See, I'm one of the leading medical practitioners in the world because I know a doctor.
Yeah.
So if you know a doctor, that makes you a doctor.
It does, it does.
Right.
You learn all of their techniques.
Did we or did we not make you feel better?
You did.
Thank you very much
definitely
indeed.
Did. I have to tell the audience what happened to me.
Really?
Because you put me into this machine and
Yes.
x-rayed me. I had a whiplash.
We didn't x-ray you. It's called a magnetic resonance imager.
That's
and it's
right.
different to x-ray because it's not dangerous at all.
Oh, that was fantastic.
We wouldn't have put you under any danger at
No.
all. I just wanted to see if the inside was as beautiful as the outside.
Oh, that's very nice of you, Jim.
Don't mention it. Carry on talking for a long time. I'm going to light this up.
I should call you Sir Jimmy.
No.
Because you've been
No, my name's Jimmy.
Well, I'll call you Jimmy then.
Okay.
So I was very impressed, you know, when I was there. I was impressed with what's happening at Stoke Mandeville. To see these children, it seems like it's mainly children that are in these wheelchairs.
No, our average age group at the hospital is 18.
Is that right?
Because young people damage themselves more than adults do. So we are filled with a hospital full of robust, if inconvenienced, young people, and we keep them metaphorically on their toes, and they keep us literally on our toes, because every day's a party, every night an excuse for a hoolie of some sort or other, and they don't call it a hospital, they call it the Jimmy Savile Country Club.
Yeah, it really doesn't have the appearance of a hospital.
No.
It's a very comfortable place when you get in there. And I was impressed with all of the kids around is it a karaoke machine? Is that
That's right, all of the karaoke. We have every possible thing for good times, because you see our patients there are not poorly. To be poorly, you need to have a pain, you need to go to a doctor who passes you on to a specialist, who refers you to a hospital, and they'll say, come in on Thursday and bring this with you and that. So psychologically, you are poorly as you go through the door. My patients come in horse riding strip, rugby trip, swimming trunks, anything where they've had their accident, and they are not quite sure what's happening, but when they come to their senses and they see me hovering over them saying, hello, how are you? They go, oh, I know where I am now. And that's the start of a 7-month relationship where we grow to be a family. So our whole hospital is geared up for obviously curing, but obviously accommodating. Because in 7 months you'll have an Easter or a Christmas or a birthday or a celebration of some sort, so everybody shares in everybody else's celebrations. And then I named the wards after saints, you see, and so every Saint's Day the ward has a party, and then we have, we'll say, it's a Jewish feast day today, and they say, good, let's have a party, or they'll say, it's a Muslim feast day, oh good, we'll have a party. So
that's fantastic.
We often have consultants coming, tearing out of rooms and saying, can you turn it down? I can't get on with my work. And I say, well, go and work in a hospital then.
Good for
if you want it quiet and cathedral-like. You come here, you stand the heat of the kitchen.
That's right. I think that's the great thing about it.
Twice a year at my hospital we have what we call a children's week. And all our younger patients, the little ones, we bring them back for a week's partying.
Right.
They look forward to it like it's a holiday. We bring them back, and people say, what a nice thing to bring them back so that you can examine them in bulk. And we say, wrong. We bring them back because in the intervening period of 8 or 9 months, they've learned to do certain things better than we taught them. They found another way of doing things. Like they found another way of transferring themselves. Or they found another way of doing this or that. So we learn from them.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really
They don't learn from us.
I think you always do, though, when you're talking.
Well, yes, but nobody does it consciously. Nobody learn. We bring them back so that we can observe them for a whole week, and we watch them transfer themselves into bed. We watch them transfer themselves onto the toilet. We watch them do all sorts of things. We watch the way that they eat, whatever. And they because of their purity of action, find much better ways of doing things than we could ever conceive.
Oh, that's great.
So we draw from them. So it's a constant, we give to them, they give to us, we give to them. It's a constant two-way traffic.
That's the great thing about that hospital.
Yeah, it's
is
beautiful.
the warmth, you know,
it's
that you've put into it. It's tremendous.
It's a world-famous, Stoke Mandeville Spinal Unit is a world-famous unit because that's where it all started in 1946. Because in 1946 there was a very wonderful medical person called Ludwig Guttmann, who was a refugee. And at the time it was the war, before you were born, of course, and before any of your viewers were born. But there it was, with aeroplanes crash landing and things like that, and there was lots of whiplash about. And Ludwig thought, what a terrible waste of marvellous young people, that their bodies should be immovable to a degree, but their brains are still marvellous brains because they've been trained to be marvellous brains. Airline pilots and things like that, flying the bombers and the fighters and all that sort of stuff. So he evolved a system to bring back a tremendous amount of life, movement and hope to people whose bodies were partially or completely paralysed. And that system is the same system that now goes right around the world. And if you go to the Tel Hashomer Hospital in Tel Aviv, for instance, you'll see a big round plaque in the entrance in honour of Stoke Mandeville Spinal Centre. If you cross the cultural divide and the political divide over in Egypt, you'll find the spinal centre there in honour of Stoke Mandeville Hospital. And also right round the world. We're negotiating at the moment to build one in Greece, India and Glasgow, I think.
That's
so
fantastic.
it's all a
though.
bit
It
of
really
fun.
is.
Gives you something to do.
Well, it's fantastic. And just to see the way those young people are, that really impressed me because they're not down at all. They're very happy and they seem very contented.
Well, they are.
They're at home with each other, you know.
They've learned to realise the fact
that they
have a different life to the one that they had before.
Yes.
Now, we find something that I've christened the arrogance of the able-bodied. Because we people who are able-bodied think that's the way life is. So we assume a certain arrogance, right? Now, we therefore presume that people with a disability are not complete, which is not true.
No.
Because people with a disability just happen to have a disability. They're exactly the same as anybody else.
Right.
It's just that the arrogance of the able-bodied, it's an innocent arrogance, but we had a patient in who went to as part of his rehabilitation, learned to throw a javelin. And so he went to the Paraplegic Olympics in Arnhem, when they held them in Arnhem, in Holland, and he got a silver medal. So he brought the medal back. Now, we're a very hard hospital. We're very tough people, understand? We grump and carry on. And somebody said to him, "Ooh, if you've got that sitting down in his wheelchair, just imagine what you would have got standing up."
Oh, no.
Now, this lad thought for a moment and he said, "If you offered me my legs back, I wouldn't have them." And we all went, "Give over." I said, wait. I said, "Listen, my legs never did me a favour. When I had my legs, I had no job, no future, no hope, but the dreadful thing was I didn't know the difference in between what was important and what wasn't important.
Right.
I had my accident and I finished up here with you, Shower, and if nothing else, I've learnt what's important.
Right.
And suddenly I've been to a foreign country and I've been on a rostrum like you see on the television, and I've got this silver medal." He said, "You can stick to the legs." He says, "I don't want them back." He says, "Because this is a much better life." And he actually meant what he said.
It's a great attitude.
So you see, the arrogance of the able-bodied, we never presumed that anybody would want to do that. But before you judge, be careful.
That's right. How did you get involved with the spinal hospital?
Well, with that particular hospital, I just called there 20-odd years ago to give some prizes away.
You did?
And that's all. Got involved. Had to go back to see the patients I'd made friends with on that visit the following week, and then I went back the following week, and I went back the following week, and they said, "Listen, how about," because they realised I might just be useful to them, they said, "How about we give you a room so that when you come here you can stay?" I said, where's the room? They said, in the nurse's home. I said, you're on. You're on, I said. And I've lived in a room 12 feet long and 8 feet wide for the last 24 years in the nurse's home, and it's hell.
I can imagine.
Oh, it's hell. Oh.
Jimmy, when when you were a child, did
Eh?
you ever when you were
Child?
little, when you were a child, did you ever think that you'd end up being the person you are?
Well, naturally not, because when you're a child, you never think anything, do you?
But did you want to be a great actor or a great
Not
television personality?
When I was a child, I was the youngest of a big family of 7.
Right.
When you are the youngest of a family of 7, and if you don't have any money in the family, you finish up with a closed mouth, because nobody listens to you anyway, big eyes, because you want to watch everything, because there's plenty going on, and big ears, because you want to hear everything. So the first 110 years of my life, of family life, it was a case of watch, watch, listen, listen, listen. And if I said anything, nobody listened anyway, so there's no point in talking. So all I was human blotting paper, and I absorbed what I saw and what I heard. And when I had to start on the survival kick of my own, then that influenced me to go down the road. For instance, young people speak to me and they say, I would like to get on. And I say, what sort of getting on do you mean? Do you mean academic getting on? If so, study. Or do you mean getting on in life for things like, you know, a nice house or a car? And some of them will say, oh, I want to get on and I want to have a Dallas-type life. And I say, okay, go into a business where the man at the end of the tube drives about in a Rolls Royce. Because all you've got to do is work your way up the tube. When you come out the other end, you should have a Rolls Royce. But if you go into a business where the man at the other end may be, with all due respect, a professor who lives in a semi, that's all you can reach along that road, because the top man lives in a semi-detached property. So you take your choice. Now, I was standing at a bus stop one day waiting to go down the coal mine, because I started off life working down the pit. And it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and it was raining, and there was about half a dozen of us, and coal miners in the morning never talk to each other. They just stand huddled against this dreadfully hard life, which is the only one they've got. Really, it's the only one they know in a lot of cases. And opposite me, up at these traffic lights where I was waiting for the bus, came a black Rolls Royce, driven by a young guy who was not much older than me. And he'd obviously been to a party, because he had a white silk scarf, an evening dress, and the black tie was open, and he stopped at the traffic lights and he looked across like that, and we looked at him, and I was filled with a great joy, because I thought that life exists somewhere, and it's only about 24 feet in between me and that. So if I can't make that 24 feet, then I should be junked. And so mentally, success and a Rolls Royce was only 24 feet away. It made it attainable. And when I bought my first Rolls Royce, I thought, well, it didn't take too long to travel the 24 feet, did it?
When you were younger, was there one person in your family that really believed in you and pushed you?
No.
You know?
No, all my
Really?
family were nice, normal, and skint.
Yeah.
Nice, normal, and penniless. You know, I'm called, what I call, a not-again child, because the last of a big family, when the mother says to the neighbours that she is yet again with child, they all say, not again.
I know.
So I'm a not-again child,
Right.
you see, because I was the last one.
The other thing that sort of fascinated me, I watched your show, Jim Will Fix It.
Yes.
Was that your idea, the show?
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
How did you come up with that idea?
Well, I was walking down the corridor, this time at the BBC,
Right.
and a man said, hey, you've been fixing things for people all your life, why don't we put pictures to it and make a show? And I said, yes, all right, we'll call it Jim Will Fix It. And he said, okay. And we just passed like that,
And that's how you did
and
it.
that was it. and it's now run for 18 years, and it's been #1 in its ratings for 18 years, and we are well on the way for our 19th year, which starts at Christmas as we speak.
Do you have a philosophy about life yourself that you believe
I suppose I must have by now, but I wouldn't go around beating a drum and saying this is my philosophy, because I would have to be expertly questioned by somebody like yourself so that you could winkle out with your sharp rapier tongue all the secrets that lurk in this philosophy of mine.
But you don't have a theory, because I remember we were talking and you said after you had your first million, right, you decided that's all you would ever need and everything else.
Yeah,
I thought that was very interesting.
So if you ask me that particular question, yes indeed. When I started to find in the showbiz world that money was plentiful, I thought to myself, well, I'll tell you what, let's set a goal to be a nice, modest millionaire.
Right.
A modest millionaire, I think, is somebody with £1 million that they don't need in the bank and enough over to let them live day to day, so the £1 million is there. So that's what I call a modest millionaire. So for me, I passed that some time ago, and I made sure that I didn't get hooked, like you see so many people get hooked on the acquisition of money in bigger and bigger and bigger lumps, because as you do that, you can run the risk of being less and less and less happy. So I try to balance it. If you've got £1 million stuck away, that makes you a millionaire. Thank you very much indeed, that'll do for me. Now, where comes the happiness? Do you chase happiness with the bottle, or the needle, or the happy dust? Or do you look elsewhere? So I personally looked elsewhere, and I worked out that a hospital, for me, was better than a disco. Because a disco closes, but a hospital never closes. So if I want to go and share myself with my patients in any one of my 3 hospitals at 3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's available. So now I have, to the casual observer, a total fun life, a life of happiness, but fiscally with enough, God willing, in the bank that you shouldn't be a burden on anybody for the rest of your life. You're not going to be a burden on your family, you're not going to be a burden on the state. And when you go to sleep or wake up, you do not have the worries that so many unfortunate people have, that they may have just overstepped the financial mark and finished up in a debt situation. I feel very much for those people, but I chose that to be a single fellow would make life easier for me. And you know my definition of a bachelor? A bachelor is a man who never makes the same mistake once.
But I tell you, you share yourself with so many people, because when I was there...
my case comes up on Thursday.
Well, no, when I was at Stoke Mandeville, I was very impressed by that, Jimmy. I mean, I have to, joking aside, I like the way you share with people.
I can't not joke aside, you see. No, that's my fault. I share with nurses at the drop of a hat.
You do.
Yes.
But also with the children. You know, they say that you don't like kids.
Hate them.
Oh,
hate them.
Come on.
I do.
Then why do they gravitate towards you so much?
Because they know that I don't like them.
Because they know...
It's an attraction of opposites. Oh, yeah.
And you don't talk down to them, I noticed that.
No, because I don't like them.
Oh, well, they sure like you.
Well, that's all right. They can do what they like. But I would never gravitate towards that age group, because not being paternal, I don't have the same, how shall we say, the same appreciation of a kid that size as a paternal or maternal person would have, because I've built myself not to be that way. So kids, sure, if a kid is polite, if a kid is right, or if a kid comes on my TV show, we have a relationship which is almost like a standoff. I don't say yucky things to the kid, and the kid had better watch what he or she says to me, because otherwise I jump down the throat. Right now, there's no malice in that, and they appreciate that enormously. So we both know where we are. That's why I hate him.
Jimmy, if a young person that was leaving school came to you and you were going to give them a little bit of advice, what do you think it would be?
It's very difficult. to give young person advice, because you can give them advice about any mistakes they may have made, because they may remember those mistakes they've made. But it's difficult to give them advice about something of which they have no concept, because the brain cannot really accommodate what the brain cannot conceive. So you have got to be careful about the sort of advice. What I would say to them would be that the world is full of people who made it. If they want to make it, they have to keep taking stock of themselves about once every 3 months or a year or whatever, to make sure they're heading in the right direction. And to make it is rather like a conical shaped mountain, okay? So they want to get to the beautiful pinnacle at the top that's in the sunshine, and that's where they want to be, and they're in the valley, okay? So they say, there's the pinnacle, I want to reach that pinnacle. So off they go, charging up the slope. Now it's hard to go up a slope. And there are bands of clouds all around this mountain, right? So they get into the cloud and they don't know where they're going. They can't see the top, it's disappeared, and they're not quite sure. All they know is it's very hard, very tough to keep going up. So a lot of them go, oh, this is hard. Good heavens, it's a lot easier going down. So they turn around and go back down again. And then they say, wait a minute, there's that pinnacle. Yeah, that's it. Whoa! So you get past the first bank of cloud, and then you say, hey, there's the top. Terrific. And then you come in the second bank of cloud, and it's much easier to go down. So I say, try to keep that sort of thing in your mind, and when it gets tough, and you're not quite sure, well, keep going, because tough has got to be good if you want to get up there. And they understand that sort of thing, because that's a picture.
Exactly.
It's hard going up to success, it's easy coming down, and these banks of cloud or mist mean that you can't see. So it's that sort of thing that I tell them, as against specific items which you can't tell them because they haven't got there yet. You can't put a 40-year-old head on 20-year-old shoulders. When I started to build the spinal centre, it was a one-man band type situation, and we started the concept of it, got the £10 million, which in 1981 was a lot of money, and built it all in 21 months, which was the fastest building ever to be built, and the only public building to come out under cost. I brought it out under cost. And somebody said to me, I think it was Prince of Wales, he said, you must be very pleased with all this. And I said, no, the right word is relieved. I was relieved.
That it was done.
Woo! We've done it. Woo!
But that's
so it was relief, not being pleased.
What are your future goals? Any
to wake up tomorrow, that's my only goal.
That's it. What about for television, entertainment, business?
Got it all.
Future
got
goals?
all the number one awards.
You feel good about
In fact, in being a disc jockey, which I quite like, because it's great fun, I won that many number one awards from one of the newspapers that were giving them away, that they decided that they would buy a clock. And they put a plaque on the clock and engraved each year that I won the next number one, instead of buying me something every year.
For the
because I said, I've got enough plaques, I've got enough table lighters, I've got enough. I said, buy a clock and stick a plaque on. And he used to give them the clock back, and he used to say, 1979. And the engraver got 1980. Well, and there's 11 years on the clock.
That's pretty nice, I would
So
think.
you've got all the number ones. All I want to do really, God willing, is wake up tomorrow morning.
Well, I want to thank you for being with me and being my guest on Ahead of Our Times. I think you're really ahead of your time.
Hey?
Yes.
Right, I mean I look old?
No,
all right, then.
No, I don't mean you look old. I mean you're ahead of your time.
Oh, I'm ahead of
what
my
you've
time.
achieved, really.
Well, it's always a great honour and a pleasure to sit opposite a beautiful lady, because I realised what I've been missing in life.
Oh, thank you, Jimmy. Sir Jimmy, I should say. We should use your full title.
Why?
Because you're knighted.
But I've got 3 knighthoods.
You do?
I've got 3. I got one from the Queen of England, one from the Pope, and one from the Island of Malta. Wow. So I say to all my nurses, am I your first 3 times a knighter?